Hey Virgo, welcome to your December 2020 reading. It's basically your mid-December reading at this point. Um, and this energy will, I'm sure, spill over a little bit into January. I would say beginning of January. And yeah, thank you for your patience. So let's talk about what is going on for you. I think most notably, there's a combination of a reevaluation and I would also say a fresh start, um, which is natural for this time of year, but because just collectively we're kind of, you know, some people, everyone has different ideas about when the new year starts, right? Some people are like, oh, I don't go by the Gregorian calendar or whatever. Like, I celebrate New Year's on Halloween with Samhain or whatever. Or, like, I celebrate New Year's in Aries season. Or I celebrate New Year's, the Chinese New Year. All of it's valid. But for me, my New Year's is the traditional New Year's. I can't help it. It's just the number literally changes. And I kind of like starting the new year in the dead of the middle of winter for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm a Capricorn moon and that's my own energy, but there's something about being in the like depths of the cold and the snow. I don't live anywhere near snow, but like, you know, that type of energy of like slowing down, looking inward, but then spring is right on the horizon. And so I think it's a perfect time to start setting new intentions about like what do I want to start building up to so when spring arrives, I know what seeds I'm going to plant or like I know what I want to start bloom like, I think that's how I feel about it. And I'm going on and on about this, but I'm channeling these readings. I'm looking at your cards and I really am wanting to give you the best message possible because we got this 10 of swords endings card with this like pretty intimidating skull, which is like a little bit of a death energy. It doesn't feel like a bad thing to me though, but it does feel like potentially there is a need to grieve. I there's been a lot of loss this year. I don't need to like explain it to you or um go on and on about it. It's just the facts. We've all been through a collective trauma. We've all had personal trauma. But 2020 has really asked us, I think, to acknowledge that something's not working and that something needs to shift. And that's on the global. Obviously, you can read the news and find out about it if you need to know. But on the personal level, I think it's more like what were the old patterns I was running to survive? And how much of my trauma was informing my path? And how much of my trauma did I identify with and think was me and feel attached to in a weird way? That's so I think those are the questions that 2020 is kind of like brought up a little bit is because we got this 9 of raindrops. These are from my Prism Tarot. And we have the emotional stability, but with this I'm like kind of getting like this chair. I'm almost getting like a therapist vibe. And obviously I think the therapist would be the one sitting in this chair. But it's like we've kind of had to, and you're a Virgo, so you're a pretty analytical person by your nature, and you, well, assuming you resonate with Virgo traits, not hashtag not all Virgos, I guess, have to be analytical, but most of the ones I've met are. And so I think with this energy, just what I'm picking up is that you've been doing a lot of deep work because you're not someone to shy away from doing the work, meaning like asking yourself tough questions, um, staying on top of everything, and trying to find the answers for like the best solution, like what's in the highest good of all. And like you I don't know, for me Virgos, like I've read something, I can't remember it now, but like I read something about like the virginity symbolism around Virgo, and it wasn't like, oh, about being chaste. It was about like being innocent, meaning pure of spirit, meaning like authentic, meaning genuine, meaning kind of like the elevated version of the human being. And so I feel like, anyway, this energy is like you've really been asked, and in December are probably processing what are you not bringing with you, endings, right? Like what maybe like what, so definitely processing your losses on, you know, a literal level. I know I've lost close loved ones, so I think that's something we have to like really let ourselves feel, emotional stability. This is usually the Nine of Cups is like the wish card, but like really with this chair, the therapist vibes, the feelings, and the nine also kind of being a trajectory towards endings. I really feel like this is like wrapping up emotional cycles that were like toxic and damaging, and like having new, being able to shift into the new story and really leaving it behind forever. And so I think this is about ultimately going to be about a new approach to work, and I think I'll get to that at some point in this reading. But this is important to start with. We got the Empress in reverse and the King of Cups in reverse, and with both of these, like the King of Cups is water energy. He's a master of emotions. He's able to hold space for everyone, and the Empress is, to me, divine feminine energy. She's really good at receiving. She's really good at, like, I think, knowing her worth and taking good care of herself and showing up for her, and knowing that she deserves good things. Like, she doesn't have any like hang-ups about worthiness and deservingness. But, you know, with this, I was talking about trauma, and it's like I think a lot of us, most of us, have trauma around worthiness and deservingness because we literally all pretty much live in a culture that feeds us the opposite message, which is like you're all losers and need to compete, blah blah blah. Like just like literally the system and cycle we've been in. It's sort of like the David Foster Wallace thing when he talks about a fish doesn't know it's swimming in water. Like we've all been swimming in like problematic waters for a long time, and I think 2020 is trying to raise awareness around that in a sometimes painful way. And then again, on the individual level, it's realizing like, oh, like, I mean, an example of this that I can give is and maybe I'll start talking about the work and I'll get back to the Empress and the King of Cups. Okay, great, let's do it. We got like the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, yeah, and like the Four of Wands in reverse. So what I feel about this is like, look, this is you. This is your energy, earth energy, right? Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Seven of Pentacles is, to me, a card of like growing in your garden and planting seeds and seeing what's come up. With it in reverse, it kind of feels like putting a lot of energy into efforts, like trying to build something and just not seeing results. And the Four of Wands in reverse, to me, feels like things should feel stable and great and wonderful and grounded, but they don't. Like, things should feel like happy and content and joyous and inspired, but they don't. And with this energy, I'm feeling like there's a certain like discontent and like lack of yeah, it feels like a lack of results, but like not even just a lack of results, but like having really done a lot of the groundwork for it. The Seven of Pentacles, right? Like you tilled the garden, like you built the garden, planted the seeds, watered it, And I mean, I had that this summer, right? I planted some seeds and they like, some of them grew, but then they died. And it just ended up not being like sustained, even though effort was put in. Okay, I went on that for a little bit. So, what am I trying to get at? Like, back to these. It's like, this is masculine energy, divine feminine energy, kind of both about feelings, especially being able to hold space for feelings, and her being someone who receives. But I kind of feel like with this, what I'm getting just from the combination of cards and the energy at play around December 2020 is like you've kind of been in this caretaker mode that is totally draining you. Because it's always something. Like, someone always needs some of your attention. It kind of feels like being a mom, I kind of want to say. It's what I want to say. Maybe it doesn't have to be a mom energy, but like, it just feels kind of like the energy is you're responsible for a lot and you want so desperately to build a happy home and to have like kind of some, you know, like momentum around it, like some kind of like sustained lifestyle that is happy and supportive of you, but it's just like not happening that way. It feels like a lot of, again, these two cards especially together. Sorry, I'm so thirsty. It's good to hydrate with LaCroix, who does not sponsor me, but they could if they wanted to. So, putting that out there. Okay. Anyway, the Empress in reverse and the King of Cups in reverse. It feels so much like you're just tired. I'm tired. Like, it's just sort of like, I guess this is the thing. Okay. It's like with this, and then also with this Ace of Swords, I feel like things are just not working out the way that you want them to, and you might be in denial of acknowledging that truth on some level, or that just might be hard to do. It's hard to admit when our strategy is not working. It might be hard to admit when something is not meant for us. With this Ace of Swords in reverse, I'm getting that there is a truth, a clarity wanting to come in around why this is so. And you're like having a hard time seeing it, or almost digging your heels in and refusing to see it. And continuing in this pattern of, instead of receiving, instead of holding space for your emotions, like running around ragged. Like, doing that because it gives you some sense of, it's almost like being addicted to the struggle. That's sort of what I'm getting. It's like, it's just what I'm getting. Like, you know things aren't working. You know the way you're planting your garden isn't getting the results you want. You feel out of your element and you know it, right? You're like trying to start something new and like build and be yourself, be your best self, but like it's not happening. Building this Four of Wands, like happy home energy. Happy home, whether literally or just the idea of stability and some kind of success that supports you. And then with these, it's like you're perhaps feeling an over responsibility to take care of everyone else. And you might say to me, like, who are you to tell me that I can't be a caretaker, or that I don't need to be a caretaker? Because all of these people legitimately really need me. I mean, you might be saying, like, we're living in a global pandemic, and I have to be responsible for these people, relationships, etc. And they do drain me, and I do feel like I don't have time for myself, but that's the nature of my life right now. And so for you to say to drop the caretaker role feels like insensitive, maybe, or like you just don't understand my life. And I get that, because trust me. So I'm not trying to say that like your external circumstances are not literally providing conditions that are again making this so. But I think there is a truth about maybe you do still have to be a caretaker in your life. Maybe that's a purpose you have, and it's important and a responsibility, and it's not one you should drop. But that's what I was talking about at the top of the reading. Are there ways you can look at how you handle things and how you approach things? Are there ways that you operate that are based out of your own trauma and your own fear? Right? So I'm not saying you don't have a purpose in your ecosystem to keep spinning some plates, but that's a good example. Spinning plates. Maybe, and I mean, spinning plates is kind of a weird example, but like thinking about juggling, right? If you were juggling, a juggler, or doing any kind of art, there's a way to do it that makes everything really easy. And maybe you learned all of this on your own, how to do all that you do in your life, and you're completely self-taught. And that's a beautiful thing, because maybe even in being self-taught, you've found unique ways of doing things your way that are ingenious in their own right. But like juggling, maybe there's something you do, Ace of Swords in reverse, that's a little bit like you twist your wrist a little bit weird or something, and just that one little thing is just kind of making it like harder for some reason. And juggling is not the best example. I would think of like swimming personally. I know that there's like a certain way you have to do a stroke, because I'm a swimmer, so I know that you have to like move your arms in a particular way, and like if you just like whap whap whap, right, like you're spending a lot of energy and not getting as far, not going as fast, and basically kind of like, so what I'm saying is like with swimming is like you're supposed to glide a little bit more, right? And there's like a certain technique to how you move your arms and how you move the stroke that helps you move faster without expending so much energy. We're gonna get there. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with the Ace of Swords in reverse, is like there's just a style to your approach that is not serving you, and is partly the reason why, you know, no matter when you do your best and like use all your energy, seven of Pentacles in reverse, not growing, and then just feeling drained all the time, right? Because you're expending so much energy, and maybe trying to do it all on your own too, and that might be something to look at, right? Like, where do I think, like Empress is about receiving, so it's like, where do I think I have to do it all on my own, the whole idea of delegating, blah blah blah. But really, regardless of the specifics, because for everyone, I think everyone's specifics would be different for different circumstances, I really try in my readings to read energy and read it broadly, because I think about things more in terms of like dynamics and patterns and cycles, and that's how I read the cards. A little disclaimer there. I don't really like to tell people what's going to happen to them, because I don't believe that anyone can predict the future, really. Okay. And I say that as someone who reads tarot. I think you can get psychic intuitive hits, but I don't know. Anyway, okay. Endings, emotional stability, therapist chair, I was talking about feeling all your feels. I feel like, again, the endings are around ways we approach things that are rooted in trauma. And our cycles and stories we don't need to keep with us anymore. These are both swords. This is both about truth. So it's like, maybe there's just something. I can speak for myself. I know, like, I'm pretty much a writer. I mean, but, a part of me feels like that's not enough or something. Like, that's not good enough to be a writer, especially in, like, this Instagram day and age. Like, I need to be an influencer. So this is a good example. It's not really my story, but, like, so anyway, like, let's just say it's like, I'm a writer and I love writing, but it's a solitary act, and in this day and age, if you really want to get somewhere, you need to be an influencer. So I need more attention, and my writing's not good enough because it doesn't bring so much attention to me, so I shouldn't do it. I should put my energy into things that are maybe a little unnatural to me, even, because that's, like, my perceived idea of Four of Wands. And so, like, I'm not even supporting myself, maybe, because I'm not even being authentic with myself. I'm not receiving what I need to receive from me, let alone from others. I'm, like, constantly draining myself and hustling for this idea of me being a good person. Or, like, I'm constantly avoiding my own dreams in a way by, like, again, caretaking is coming up a lot. So, Ace of Swords in reverse. I just feel like there's a way to look at things differently that has a lot to do with this. And this is about you seeing where the belief that the behavior you're engaged in is rooted in a trauma that needs to go. Emotional stability, kind of like being your own therapist, looking at yourself, feeling your feelings, giving yourself that space, right? And then letting something die within you, not literally, but, like, letting that belief, and I think it has to do with reconnecting with what's really actually true and authentic for you, getting these ones upright so that you can receive and start being in a better flow. So, to bring it back to being a caretaker, let's say, and I was, like, talking about, like, the swimming and, like, having, like, an incorrect stroke or something. It's like, maybe, like, this could play out so many infinite number of ways. So it's, like, hard for me to, like, speak to all cases, but, like, I will try to give examples. So, like, with being a caretaker, like, maybe part of what you have to do is, like, make food for everyone. But, like, maybe the meals you're making are, like, really nice, fancy meal. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your life. I'm trying to just, maybe what you think is, like, oh, I need to, like, make sure everyone likes the food, so I have to make these really nice meals, and they take a lot of time, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, maybe you just need to, like, try some new recipes that are a little bit easier, and that saves you some time. That's such a stupid example, but, like, or, with the writing and influencer thing, like, maybe it's something like acknowledging, like, oh, the reason why I've been pursuing becoming an influencer is because I don't believe that what I really want to do, which is to be a writer, is, like, good enough, so I ignore what I love because I think I need to be someone else. So, who knows what this is for you specifically, Virgo? I guess I'm just trying to say, this is, like, looking at why do you do what you do, and why do you do what you do, how the way that you do it. And can you look at, what is the belief driving the behavior within yourself, and how can you shift that? For example, or, maybe it's like you kind of have a, like, I know best thing, but maybe you do have, like, the wrong strategy, like the wrong stroke, and so maybe it's like being open to, a little bit of feedback on ways you can approach what you do in a way that doesn't spend so much of your energy. Like, that's really, regardless of how this is specifically playing out for you, I feel like it's something about looking at trauma, how trauma informs how you do things, healing that, giving yourself space to feel those emotions and grieve, maybe even, because he was upside down. And she was upside down. You know, she wasn't receiving, and he wasn't, like, holding space for it all. So it's like, once you've acknowledged, witnessed the trauma, and then maybe, like, even gotten a little bit of help, or just shifted the way you do things a little bit, or kind of looked at things a little bit differently, it feels a lot about healing trauma. And in healing trauma, maybe shifting an approach and moving to something more authentic and more genuine, or something a little bit more easier, or something a little more effortless. And it might not be a huge shift, you know? It might not be that big in the, like, external world, but, like, internally it seems like a huge shift that, like, gives you a little bit of a nudge to start, like what I said about, like, the juggling thing, right? Like, maybe it was just the way you were doing your wrist, you fix that, and now all of a sudden you can juggle more balls. You know, like, I hope you get it. I think you do. I sometimes repeat myself too much. Okay, and then look what we got. Dude. I think this is self-explanatory, but I'll just say it. We got Page, Apprentice of Raindrops, Charm, Page of Cups energy, 8 of Pentacles, upright, 8 of Wands, upright. This is like, once you make that shift, bam, it's just flowing effortlessly. You do get into that effortless thing. You start gliding, like I said with swimming, or like, if you were denying what you really wanted, like you thought you had to be an influencer and now you want to be a writer, you're, like, writing up a storm, and it's beautiful and you're having fun doing it. Or if you were a caretaker who was, like, overwhelmed and burdened, it's like you maybe ask for a little bit of help, or you realize that, like, you don't have to, like, do everything 200%. You can give it 100% and it's still enough for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, as in, like, you don't have to drain yourself to give to people. You are allowed to create boundaries, even in a situation where you're a caretaker. Like, if you were a parent, a mom, because I did mention mom vibes, it would be like asking someone to watch the kids a little more often, right? Like, giving yourself scheduled breaks to have you time. There's just, and like I said, it could be like a really little shift that makes all the difference, and it seems like it does. With Charm, I'm kind of getting too that, like, you're feeling yourself again, and that you're feeling more magnetic. Like, it's like, because it felt like a lot of it had to do with, like, healing trauma too, around, like, maybe some unworthiness and undeservingness, or not feeling enough and having to prove your enoughness, or having to prove your worth within a certain life you were living. So with this, I feel like you're just feeling yourself more. It's like this fresh new emotional beginning with the Raindrops energy, Page of Cups energy, new beginnings, new emotional beginnings, and kind of like, yeah, that rebirth energy that I was talking about at the very, very beginning of the reading, with, like, knowing what you want your spring to look like. And maybe kind of, now that you know how to till the soil in a different way, and now that you're planting new seeds, it's like there's this excitement and rejuvenation, I would say, around it as well. And it just feels like it'll be really quick flowing. I mean, I think the swimming example is good, right? If you go whap, 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 or you go glide, 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 you know, you're moving from, like, you know, thrashing in the water in kind of one place, like, just trying to stay afloat, to, like, moving forward and, like, having momentum, and, like, yeah, and it all really is about this one shift that might be subtle on, and I think it's a big shift personally on the internal level, is like healing that deep-seated trauma. But again, how it plays out might just be like really small. Like if you were a parent asking someone to watch the kids once a week. I am worthy and deserving of just having me time once a week. Saying that to yourself might be a huge step internally, but externally it just seems like a kind of small shift, right? But it leads to all this, maybe having that me time really gives you the time to like then make even more changes, right? More adjustments, more getting in alignment with yourself. With this charm, I feel like people who are charming are, well, they're sometimes sociopaths, but I think if you're genuinely charming in a healthy way, you're kind and you see people and you like just kind of have a positive hope for the people around you. That's positive charm. There's also negative charm, which is just manipulative and blah blah blah, but we don't even talk about that. We're just talking about you're maybe just seeing yourself a little more clearly, and we're trying to get this energy upright with all this process. And that a lot of that has to do with like looking at a truth that you might be kind of avoiding with this in reverse. But I think you're going to do it because that's what a big part of your energy has been about and what we've talked about. So I love your reading, Virgo. I really do. It was fun and it's like exciting, and it's a really great way, I think, to move into the new year and a whole new decade. So I love you, and I'll see you again in the future. Bye.